Hey traders, welcome back to another profit and loss recap video. Today is Monday, November 13th. I just finished up trading for the morning and I locked in $535 in profits. I had two trades. One of them was a winner and one of them was a loser. And in this video, we're going to break down these two trades, talk about my thought process so that hopefully you can take something from my trading and apply it to your own. Now, I know it's been a while since I filmed one of these videos. I've been sick for a few weeks and I also had a few very busy weeks that I simply didn't have time to record and edit and upload these videos, but I should be back to posting on a pretty regular schedule, so make sure to be on the lookout for new profit and loss videos every single day. That being said, let's go ahead and get into the first trade. I want to start off with a losing trade for me. This was JAN, J-A-N. This was a stock that was in the Market Master Group's trade plans. And if we take a quick look at those trade plans, these were posted over the weekend to help our team of traders in the Market Master Group take on the market the following day, which is of course today. And JAN, we can see here, if we take a look at this daily chart, has a nice inside bar setup. If you don't know what the inside bar setup is, I have a video about it on my channel breaking it down and how to trade this strategy, but simply put, it's when we have a nice big spike and then the following day we have a smaller candle that is completely within the range of that previous candle. When the stock then breaks above the high of that inside bar, that's often a bullish sign that the stock is going to then retrace back up towards that previous high. Okay, so with JAN, I was simply looking for a breakout above that inside bar high for a move back up towards 70 cents or higher. That being said, we can see this morning, not a ton of volume, pretty choppy price action, but we get a nice volume spike here as it does break above that inside bar high. That's where I take a starter position in this, and then I add once it's starting to bounce off of the VWAP. I was adding 500 shares at a time, again, because it was a pretty low volume move. And with my average price being right around 59 cents per share, it does go in my favor a bit. It's about 4 cents above that price at a certain point, but again, I was looking for that 70-cent area to start locking in some profits, so I did not get out of this trade when it was profitable. It then starts to dump and sell off underneath the VWAP and underneath those morning lows, so I cut losses on the trade, and thankfully, because it was a relatively small position, it ended up being a relatively small loss. I took a $181 loss on that trade, and the second trade for me today was able to easily recover those losses as well as add some cushion and add some overall profits for the day. So let's take a look at LIFW. This was the second stock that I traded today. We can see it has a really strong move both in pre-market and then again at the market open. If we take another quick look here at the Market Master Group, every single morning we post opening range breakout levels for the stocks that have the best opportunity of having a gap and go. And one of the stocks that was on that list today was LIFW. It had an opening range breakout level of $6.91. That is found by simply looking at the high of the first few minutes of price action. Really, that's going to depend on your preference. You can use the high from the first 1 minute, you can use the high from the first 3 minutes, the first 5 minutes, the first 15 minutes, and so on and so forth. You just have to understand that if you're using the 1 minute time frame, you're going to get a lot more alerts and you're going to get a lot more breakouts, but odds are more of those breakouts are going to end up being false breakouts. So I like to kind of meet in the middle between a longer term time frame and a very short term time frame and look at the high of the first 3 minutes of price action. And again, with LIFW, that was going to be $6.91. So what I'm going to do is just draw that level here on the chart, $6.91. Close enough there at $6.90. And this is going to give us our opening range breakout level. So I didn't get into this initial push above this opening range breakout level here. I was a little bit more focused on the stock trade that I had with JAN. And on top of that, I want to mention that I've been kind of a little bit weary of the opening range breakout trading strategy as of lately, simply because the market conditions are not favorable for trading these type of breakouts right now. So if I do end up trading this strategy, I tend to avoid buying into that initial breakout just to make sure that it's not going to be a false breakout. So again, I didn't get into this initial push above, but once it started to then bounce off of the VWAP, at the exact same time, I posted in the Market Master Group, would like to see this hold VWAP here on this dip and then squeeze through 7. Bullish setup today with it being short sale restricted. Okay, so I posted about this in real time. It did work out nicely. It started to bounce off of the VWAP, started to push back above that $7 area, and I took a starter position in this trade. My average was right around $7.02, I believe, and I had 1,000 shares. And with this particular trade, a lot of times what I'm going to do is use the morning low as my risk level, but in this case, the morning low is all the way down here at $5.92. So that would have been a pretty large amount to risk on this trade. So instead of holding all the way down to that area before cutting losses, I was simply using the 650 area as my risk level to base this trade off of. So if this would have ended up being another false breakout and it would have started to fall back under 650, I would have cut losses on this trade and probably taken a loss anywhere from $500 to $600, which for me is a pretty standard amount to risk on an initial trade. Sometimes once the stock is moving in my favor for a bit, I'll add into that position, and I might be overall risking on that trade anywhere from 1,500 all the way up to 2,500, but that is once the trade is already working in my favor and the trade is worth taking on more risk. Anyway, with all of that being said, we can see that the price action kind of chops a little bit higher here for about 5-10 minutes. No serious breakouts, no serious pullbacks, kind of just chopping around up here. And a lot of times what I've seen happen with that is something very similar to what happens later on in the morning. You can see it's a similar setup here where it's chopping around, kind of grinding up higher and higher. At the same time, the volume is kind of decreasing in that period. And then we get this big sell-off to the downside. That is something that happens a lot of times when you are trading these stocks that are kind of just chopping around. So I was seeing that after this breakout, and I didn't want to end up holding through one of those big sell-offs. So I locked in some quick profits here in the 730s. Admittedly, a bit too early. I should have been a little bit more patient in hindsight, but again, I didn't want to hold through one of those big sell-offs. So the rest of my shares, I was able to hold and make a little bit more money on them as it was starting to ramp up and pick up some momentum. Volume was starting to pick up as well, and we get this nice blow off top here up to $8.25. I locked in the rest of my profits in the 780s, and on that trade, I ended up locking in $717 in profits, which brought my red morning up to a total profitable morning of $535. All right, now before wrapping up this video, we had a pretty solid question that was asked today in the group from Meso. He asked, MTM, is it possible to explain how with short sale restriction, LIFW is setting up traps and getting dumped with huge volume? And I'm sure if we take a look at the chart, this is the candle that he was referring to. There is a large spike of volume and we get this big sell-off to the downside. A lot of times that would be from short sellers kind of just piling into the stock and driving the price lower and lower, but because this stock is short sale restricted today, because of the sell-off that it had on Friday, that's obviously not the case, and that's not the reason that this had this big sell-off. So that kind of asks the question, what was the cause of this sell-off and how can it be avoided in the future? And the simple answer is that, it doesn't need to be short sellers to drive a stock lower. If there is a lot of people selling the stock, if there are, for example, a bunch of bag holders in a stock and they're looking to sell into a nice spike like we had with LIFW, that can be the cause of a big sell-off. On top of that, if there is someone with a large position in a stock and they decide to dump all of their shares at one time, that's going to drive the price lower. And then another situation would be if there were a bunch of people that had stop losses all in the same area. Once the price pulls back a little bit and triggers all of those stop losses, that's going to then drive the price even lower from there. So it really can be various things. I wasn't watching the tape at the time. If you are watching the tape, a lot of times you can kind of determine what might be the cause of that sell-off, but I can't necessarily confirm exactly what it was, but it was most likely one of those three scenarios. Okay, anyway, with all of that being said, that was my trading and my main focuses for today. Again, locking in $535 in profits. It was a nice start to the week. Hopefully you guys found some value in this video, and if you did, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you want to hear about these stocks that I'm trading in real time, as well as work with our team of traders, get access to our day trade and swing trade alerts, our detailed trade plans, our live custom scanner streams, and so on and so forth. All of that can be found in the Market Master group. There's going to be a link down below in the description for you to get signed up. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and good luck with your trading.